Hello and welcome to Severn Way 7. We're here again, just explaining about the logistics of today's route. We're going to return to Crew Green, where I finished Severn Way 6, of course. I'm not quite at Severn Way where I finished Severn Way 6 yet. I've parked my car at Halfway House, so I'm going to walk. It's about a 5.5 kilometre walk back to Crew Green, where you last saw me on that bridge where we go from Wales to England. I'm currently standing in Shropshire. In about 2 kilometres we'll be going back into Wales, and then we're going across that old railway bridge, which is now a road, towards a village called Melverley, where we'll be back in England. Then we'll be going across towards Shrewsbury, but we won't be going to Shrewsbury today. We'll actually be going to a little village called Montford Bridge. I'll then be getting a bus from Montford Bridge to Shrewsbury, and then a bus from Shrewsbury to Halfway House, back to my car. Really tight time schedules because the bus I really need to catch is at 3:45 from Montford Bridge. Behind me here is the Bryden Hills again, and I think was it called Arthur's Pillar? I can't remember. I'll put in the name below that. It's early-ish in the morning. It's a bright sunny morning here. It's about 8:15 here in Shropshire. I've had a trip up, 2.5 hour drive from home. Very pleasant drive because it was quite early in the daytime and the sun's come out. It has been cloudy, but the sun's out now. It's about 16 degrees, which is perfect walking conditions. So why not join me here on Severn Way 7 here on West Country Wanderings. So what do I hope that I can share with you on today's walk? Well, there should be a fantastic church at Melverley, Wattle and Daub Church. It's got some fantastic original features according to my guidebooks. We'll look out for that. And there's also ruins of a castle or a place called, it looks like it's spelled Shrawardine, but I think locals pronounce it Shrawardine. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're from Shropshire and know the exact pronunciation of that, because I've got two guidebooks and they're conflicting on the pronunciation, so I'm not sure on that. I think I might call it just Shrawardine because that's how it's spelt, even though if that's the pronunciation is wrong. So I'm not from Shropshire, and so I do apologise if that is the wrong pronunciation. So I thought it was just in Wales we had difficulty in the pronunciation, but no, we have difficulty pronunciation that, and we have a fantastic bridge at Montford Bridge. Well, I'll conclude today's video. There won't be so much of the River Severn in today, just to let you know about that. We will see it, of course, on our journey, but not so much as we did on Severn Way 6. However, this will be the last walk where we don't see so much of the River Severn. Going forward, we'll be seeing a heck of a lot more, certainly a lot as we make that final approach into the city of Shrewsbury. And of course, I'll be doing a complete video about Shrewsbury in Severn Way 9. That's right, 9. 8 will be going into Shrewsbury. 9 will be just the one because in Shrewsbury, Sabrina does a massive loop, and at some point, she may decide to form an island within the centre of the city there, here in Shropshire. We'll continue the walk along here now towards Crew Green. When I finished Severn Way 6, I had some difficulty because when I finished the walk, or finished filming at Crew Green, I then obviously needed to get back to the bus here at Halfway House. And I walked out of Crew Green along the main road to a small village, which we'll be coming up to shortly. And I looked at the OS map and I could not find the footpath. I know that sounds really strange. It looks like a new house has been built right across the public right-of-way. I'll see if I can include a clip of that because I intend to raise that with Paris Council. So we've now reached the road. I think the problem with that footpath is that it comes off a village called Coedway, C-O-E-D-W-A-Y, and we're passing through that shortly. I couldn't find where the footpath starts. It looks like, as I say, it's been completely blocked by a new build. Not only that, I then found another footpath which kind of rejoins the route of where that one is, and I'll put the maps up now so you can see what I'm talking about. And the farm has completely blocked access to that footpath as well, put barbed wiring around the fences. And then I fell over, and then there was some very aggressive cows as well. They weren't friendly like ones up at Minchinhampton Common, where I was filming that early one summer morning last week in the heat wave. So it was a bit of a not a great ending to Severn Way 6, and so that wasn't in the video. So I'm hoping my experiences today with the footpaths are going to be better for that. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you've gone out on walks and you've had difficulty in negotiating what are public rights of way marked with green dashed lines on the OS map and either can't find them or find they've been blocked for access. So I'm currently just off Pecknell Lane near to Shotton Farm, and there should be a footpath here which takes you diagonally across to Quedway, but as you can see we have green gates here and a gate there which completely blocks access to any walker trying to get across this right of way. Now this little triangular grassy strip here where the lane from Shotton Farm meets Pecknell Lane marks the dividing line between two nations. Behind me is England, in front of me is Wales. So here we are back at Crew Green, or more specifically Melverley Bridge. This is in Wales, England's the other side of the River Severn here. It's great to see the River Severn again here today. Now this bridge originally was a railway bridge. In fact, it was a viaduct taking it over there. It was the Shropshire and Montgomeryshire Railway, and it went to, and I think the name of the village was Llangmynlleth, which is near Oswestry. So Oswestry, Shropshire, but Llangmynlleth actually just over the border in Wales. 1902, the viaduct that was here actually collapsed into the river. They rebuilt it with this one in 1911. It was reopened, but a combination of the railway being unsafe, it had unsafe working practice, and they thought that this road, what is a narrow road bridge, but was a railway bridge, was also deemed unsafe for railway use. So the entire railway was closed, and now this just serves a minor road to the village of Melverley. I say minor, you're probably thinking there's not much of interest in Melverley, but there is, as we will see later in today's video. We're now the other side of Melverley Bridge, and for the second time today we're back in England. Immediately after crossing over Melverley Bridge and the River Severn, the Severn Way diverges off to the left across the fields. Now the river that's behind me at the moment, you can just make out an embankment. It's in a deep groove obviously because we've got low water levels. Isn't the River Severn. That is of course the River Vrynwy. And if you remember, casting minds back to Severn Way 6, I showed you where the River Vrynwy joined the River Severn, and in here it seems to be going on a very meandering route before it joins the main River Sabrina. So we're now approaching Melverley Church. I'm on a high ridge crossing the field here for good reason, because we're of course on the River Severn floodplain, of course the River Vrynwy floodplain as well. Now this church often gets cut off in the winter time, but it's summer, so we're going to go and have a closer look. So the church behind me is St Peter's at Melverley. And there was originally a Saxon church here. In fact, there is still a Saxon font inside this church, and almost certainly that was it from the original Saxon church. The Saxon church was destroyed by Owen Glendower and his men in 1402, but by 1404 this timber wattle and daub church, a rare type, there's two others in Shropshire. This is the oldest one, was built on the same site, and hasn't been changed since those days in the early 15th century when this church was indeed built. It's an incredible building. The joints that it uses to connect those timber poles and pieces and frames to frame the building, they don't actually use normal standard carpentry, they actually use pegs. And the church is unchanged since those days when it was built all those years ago. Incredible place to go, and I was just blown away by what it looks like inside. Charles Darwin's parents are buried in the churchyard as well. That's Robert and Susanna. Susanna was the daughter of Josiah Wedgwood, the famous potter fame, and Robert was the son. That's Charles Darwin's father, Robert. His father was Erasmus, and he was a famous poet and philosopher, and he also came up with some of the ideas, not on a scientific basis but from a philosophical point of view, of what Charles Darwin later proved in his books to do with evolution. Now, there was once in Melverley an inn called the Tontine Inn. In fact, the building there is still there. It's a private dwelling now. Comes from an interesting source. A tontine is a legal arrangement for raising capital. It's like an investment plan. I'll put up the details about how that works below, but sadly the pub has now closed. I don't know whether it closed in during the lockdowns or prior to that, but it did mention it in my guidebook, and I thought, that's interesting, tontine. I do seem to remember when I was in the Iron Bridge area, which obviously we'll be coming to, in the middle part of the Severn Valley part of the Severn Way, near Coalport, I believe it is, there is a tontine inn, or perhaps in Ironbridge there is a tontine inn there as well. So I'm not sure what the connection is specifically to the tontine capital investment arrangement and the River Severn. If anybody knows, drop a link below. But yeah, tontine inn, formerly here in the village of Melverley, which we're now leaving. So we've got the River Severn again at this point. Been away from it because obviously we've been close to the River of Rinway when we're at Melverley. But yeah, there it is, going a loop across the floodplain here. We're at a minor T-junction now. We're going to make our way down to the left of this T-junction, signposted edgily. And shortly after that we're going to turn right to continue our journey along the Severn Way. So I've just come to this caravan park, got this wonderful wood behind me, and even better than that, we've got a picnic table. Yay! Hey for picnic tables. Just stopped here for some water, piece of chocolate before we continue our walk. I'm going to call it Shrawardine. I don't know what it is, but Shrawardine, making our way over there to see the remains of the ruined castle before wrapping our journey up today at Montford Bridge. So I'm currently in this wheat field, I think it's wheat, not barley or oats, and you can see the giant cracks at my feet where the ground has been so dry and it's like walking on concrete. It's so solid and it desperately needs some rain. It's very, very burnt conditions here in Shropshire on the Severn Way. So now come to a little hamlet called Pentre. Bit of road walking. I had some really difficult stiles back there which were covered in bramble. So a word to the wise for anybody that's watching this from Shropshire County Council or Paris Council. You really need to look after people that come to your counties on walking holidays, as at the moment it just kind of shows that you don't really care. I'm sure you do, and I'm sure you want walkers and visitors and tourists spending money, but and there's been plenty of caravan parks and holiday places that I've been coming through, but it's not encouraging walking people to explore the Severn Way. I mean, I'm more used to walking, but people that are more casual, when they see that over a stile, bramble like that, it's just going to put them off completely. And if obviously we're trying to encourage people to go out walking for both their mental and physical health, when you put in literal physical barriers by blocking off footpaths and not cutting back bramble, you're really discouraging people and not promoting their health at all. There was a railway which ran through here. That went in direction of Shrawardine. There was a bridge over the river Severn and on down to Shrewsbury, then making its way north, possibly up to North Wales. I don't know, I'll check out where the final destination of that was. This is also Ministry of Defence land, so I don't know if there was a military railway here as well, not sure. So this area around here is a training area for the military, as you can see from the sign behind me. Anyway, our route continues along in this direction. Yeah, so it's got some Nestcliff military camp over there. I imagine something to do with the army, not sure what. There's also a large military training area, not camp, but with individual buildings widely spaced apart, which go right down to the banks here of the River Severn. Now, while we can't see Sabrina on this part of the Severn Way, it's because it's doing a huge meander around the fields. And obviously some of those fields are owned by the Ministry of Defence, have we seen. A lot of it's also private land by local landowners. Most of the rest is just a floodplain. You can't actually build on it. There's no houses. There's no roads or even paths or rights of way. It's kind of a no man's land, so it's a hidden place. So yeah, I suppose the only way you could get to it would be via boat. As we've said before, this section of the river isn't exactly navigable unless you've got a canoe. So now at Shrawardine, this is Shrawardine Castle, or the remains of it. Just tell you a little bit about that. Firstly, the Church of St Mary's, which is a red sandstone church. I didn't have time to go in it today, but a beautiful church here in Shropshire. Much of it is Norman, though substantially inside it's been Victorianised, so it's not as interesting as the church we saw at Melverley earlier in the video. This castle here was built shortly after the Norman conquest by Reynold the Sheriff, who owned Shrawardine Manor and this area hereabouts. It then became a royal castle, actually with connections to Paris Castle, which we've seen closer at nearby Welshpool, but it was destroyed by the Welsh, perhaps under Owen Glendarras. I'll put in some more information about the details of that because it is quite complex, and that was around 1215. Shortly after that, it was rebuilt under the orders of Henry III. And during the English Civil War in 1645, it was completely destroyed by Oliver Cromwell's troops under a 5-day siege here at Shrawardine. I'm now going to make my way over to the hamlet of Montford, which is about one and a half kilometres here from Shrawardine, and then it's on to the final destination for today on Severn Way 7, which is of course Montford Bridge, which is about 4 kilometres to go till we finish. I love this sign here saying welcome to Montford. So yes, we're in the village hamlet, not quite sure, of Montford, which was once part of the Paris Castle estate over in Welshpool. the land spread out that far. It isn't anymore, but we'll just have a quick look at the outside of this church here. I'll just tell you something about it before we head on to Montford Bridge. So the church here at Montford was actually built by a local Shropshire man called William Cooper around about 1738, and of course it's made of local red sandstone. Now, before it reaches Montford Bridge, the Severn does one of its famous loops. There's also a weir there, and there's a hamlet on the other side of the river, on the opposite banks to Montford, called Preston Montford. When we enter Montford Bridge, we'll actually be crossing over the A5, which is Telford's Road, which goes from the Midlands right up to Holyhead in North Wales. So finally we made it to the bridge itself. That's Montford Bridge. This is the River Severn again behind me here. Red sandstone bridge. I'm not sure that the year that it was built, it probably was towards the end of the 18th century, but that's just a guess judging by its design. If I can find any information about the year it was built here, I'll put that in the usual, the usual thing by now. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I'm off now to walk just about half a kilometre in that direction. There is a bus stop near a road called the Crescent, hopefully, which is going to take me back to Shrewsbury, where I can then, half an hour later, get a bus back to a place called Halfway House, which is where I left my car at the start of today's walk here on Severn Way 7. Now, Severn Way 8 on West Country Wanderings will take us from this location here right into the city of Shrewsbury. This walk today was the last walk where you don't see so much of the River Severn. As we go into the city of Shrewsbury next time, as we get close to the city centre and see that fabulous abbey and the rest of the fantastic buildings that are in the city, we will see a lot more of Sabrina. In fact, it does a huge loop, does a small loop and a large loop right round through the city. So in Severn Way 8, we'll see the initial parts of that, and in Severn Way 9, I'll devote the entire video to the history of the River Severn and Shrewsbury and how the two link up. After we leave Shrewsbury, we'll be following a more direct route alongside the River Severn until we get finally down to the city of Bristol. I hope you enjoyed it today on West Country Wanderings. If you did, don't forget to consider a like, a subscribe, a share, or a comment indeed. Particularly if you've walked any of this yourself, or like I've said, you've had difficulty negotiating rights away. Love to hear from you with that as well. And I'll keep you updated with the emails I'm sending off to both Shropshire Council and Paris Council about the rights on those particular footpaths and the condition of them, certainly with some of the brambles where it's really, really tricky in some places. Aside from that, I really enjoyed the walk today. The weather's really been our side. Some great scenery as usual. Till next time, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on the channel again very, very soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Goodbye. Quick bonus for you on today's Severn Way number 7 video. When I was driving to Halfway House, about a mile, about maybe 2 kilometres before I got to where I parked my car, I spotted something in the other side of the road, just out the corner of my eye. I thought, is that what? Is that really? Is that? Checked the OS map. I thought, oh, it is. It is what I think it is. Well, I thought it was a windmill, and I've just caught the bus from Shrewsbury back to my car, and I've just driven to a pub called the Windmill Inn. And there's a footpath that goes on for about 1 kilometre at the back of the Windmill Inn, and it takes you to this stunning windmill, which is just behind me. I can't quite believe it. but there it is. So we're about 1.5 miles to 2.5 kilometres between Halfway House, or from Halfway House in the direction of Shrewsbury on the main Shrewsbury Welshpool Road, which I think is the 483. In case you're wondering, we are drop in a map. I'm on a public footpath, I'm not trespassing at all. I don't know what that is down there. Is that something to do with an old railway, or is that something to do... I really don't know. I can't see anything on the map. I'll try and find that out. But yes, this is the wonderful windmill here. Let's see if we can get any closer for you here. If not, I will change my lens over and get some shots. Now, this behind me here is actually a former quarry. I don't know if the mill had anything to do with the quarrying, what happened at the quarry, because usually mills are associating with grinding cork and flour, that sort of thing, or maybe using a pump to pump water around irrigation around a farm. But yeah, that's a quarry behind me. Can't actually get right up close to them, but we should be able to get fairly close.